Good evening and welcome to the Buncombe County Board of Education regular meeting for Thursday, April the 3rd, 2025. Our mission of Buncombe County Schools is to foster a culture of excellence and continuous improvement where every student will thrive and learn from exceptional educators. Our vision is for every Buncombe County Schools student to graduate on time, prepared to pursue their chosen path as critical thinkers and collaborative leaders in a diverse society. At this time, I'll call the meeting to order, and I ask that we all rise for the presentation of colors. Presentation of colors this evening is provided by Lieutenant Colonel Brooke King, United States Army retired, and Sergeant First Class Jeffrey Garland, United States Army retired, with JROTC cadets from Owen High School. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right face, forward march.
Thank you. I ask that you remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. You may be seated. Board members, first on our agenda this evening is the approval of our agenda, and we actually have a need to add an item to the action agenda regarding Irwin High School request to use capital athletic outlay funds to purchase track hurdles. So I will entertain a motion to approve this evening's agenda to include the additional item in the action agenda of the Irwin High School request to use capital athletic outlay funds for purchase of track hurdles. Is there a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you. Before I hand it over to our superintendent, I just want to take a moment to express my gratitude for the leadership of our administration during this time. For a lot of our community, especially in education, is a time of great change, a great time of uncertainty around us, as usual in education. And it is a time where leadership matters, and I'm so grateful for the leadership of Dr. Jackson and Dr. Reed and Dr. Johnson as well. This time of steady leadership is very important. I'm also grateful for the leadership of State Superintendent Mo Green, who we had a chance to visit with at Irwin High School, North Buncombe High School, with our teacher cadets. And in that, he expressed a world of optimism for us to carry forward as education leaders ourselves and as board members. And I was struck by his statement recently that he was confident that by working together, educators, families, communities, and policymakers, we will continue advancing educational excellence for every student in our state. I truly believe that, and I know that you all do, and I want to say thank you all for your leadership during this time as well. With that, I'll hand it over to you, Dr. Jackson. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for those comments. Good evening, parents, members of the community, board members, and teammates. As we welcome the month of April and the promise of warmer days ahead, I find myself reflecting on the incredible strength, compassion, and perseverance that has defined our school community over these past 6 months. Hurricane Helene left unimaginable devastation in its wake, taking lives, destroying homes, and forever changing the landscape of Western North Carolina. But in the face of such heartbreak, our school system has shown what it truly means to lead with both your heart and your hands. The tireless efforts of our teammates, whether providing comfort to families, organizing relief efforts, ensuring our students had a safe place to learn, or simply being a steady presence in uncertain times, have made a profound difference. They have been the light in the darkness for so many, offering not just hope, but real, tangible support when it was needed most. I am in awe of their commitment and inspired by the compassion that continues to guide our work. While we have come so far, we know the work of rebuilding, both physically and emotionally, is not yet complete. Many of our families, neighbors, and even colleagues are still navigating the long road to recovery. But I have no doubt that with the same resilience and dedication that has brought us through these difficult months, we will continue to stand together and make a lasting impact. The month of April marks the beginning of the whirlwind that hallmarks the last 41 days of school. Over the course of the next 2 months, we look forward to the many opportunities to celebrate our students' academic, artistic, and athletic accomplishments that will fill our days and our nights. During the same time, our students and faculty are hard at work maximizing every available instructional moment to ensure our students get the very most out of this year possible. I'm so very proud of the work ethic that I see in our classrooms across the school system. I'm also excited that high school musical season is upon us. This spring, we all have the opportunity to enjoy 9 to 5, Clue, The Lightning Thief, Sweeney Todd, Curtains the Musical, and The Story of the Princess and the Pea as our traditional high schools present their annual musicals. Valley Springs Middle School is also presenting Descendants the Musical. The dates and times for all of these shows are available on the arts calendar on our school system's website, and I would invite you to join me enjoying the talents of our students. Next Tuesday night, April 8th, from 5 to 7 p.m. is our annual family night at the Asheville Mall for the opening of our all-county kindergarten through 8th grade visual arts show. I can't wait to celebrate our youngest students who are amazing artists. I'm so very appreciative of the priority our school system places on the arts and the opportunities given to our students to share and grow their talents. Next week, we're celebrating Assistant Principals Week in Buncombe County Schools. Assistant principals are dedicated educators who work tirelessly to bolster teachers, motivate students, support their principal, create a professional learning community, and face the many unpredictable challenges that land on their desk. They play a crucial role in our school system, and next week is a dedicated time to recognize them for their hard work and commitment to our students, staff, and schools. Thank you to each of our assistant principals. As the school year continues to unfold, I encourage us all to take a moment to recognize the tremendous progress that we've made as a community and to draw strength from the difference that has been made in the lives of so many. The unwavering dedication of our school system is a reminder that even in the face of great adversity, we can create something stronger, more connected, and more compassionate than ever before. To our team and to our board members, thank you for all that you do for the students, families, teachers, and staff of Buncombe County Schools. Mr. Chair, this concludes my comments.
Thank you, Superintendent Jackson. Now it's time for our good news segment. Mr. Ulmer, it's all yours.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Chair. We are going to begin good news this evening with two students who brought home state championships in indoor track and field, and our district athletic specialist, Mr. David Ball, is going to come down and help with these presentations. We will begin with Mr. Josh Flack from Enka High School. Josh, if you would join us up front, please, along with Dr. Jackson, Ms. Lewis, your principal, Ms. Harris, and Coach Cannon here as well. Josh earned the 3A state championship in the high jump. It is an athletic feat, I am told by those who witnessed it, that would make your knees and the rest of your body hurt for those of us of a certain age. An incredible feat. Thank you so much for representing Enka High School and Buncombe County Schools and bringing home that championship. Congratulations to you, Josh. Now, we've got two more state titles that have come to Buncombe County Schools, but they are courtesy of one athlete from North Buncombe High School. Michael Ferguson, if you will please join us, along with Miss Franklin and Principal Kevin Yance, Coach Rowan, and Coach Capps here as well. Michael Ferguson earned two 3A state championships, one for the 1,600 meter and the other for the 3,200 meter. Also athletic accomplishments that would make those of a certain age hurt all over as well. Congratulations to you, Michael Ferguson of North Buncombe High School. Thank you so much for representing North Buncombe High School and Buncombe County Schools. And Coach Ball, if you will stay front and center for us, please, because we would like to share with everybody that earlier this week, Coach Ball received a special award from the North Carolina Athletic Directors Association, the Gerald M. McGee Award of Excellence. It is named for the longtime association director, and it honors his legacy presented every year to somebody who represents excellence in achievement and has contributed to the profession as an athletics director. We can all agree those are two areas where you have excelled and continue to excel. Coach David Ball, we are so proud of you. Congratulations. Congratulations, Coach. This week, our Student Services Department Surprise Squad popped in on some teammates to recognize them for their dedication to student success. Dr. Johnson's going to come up and help present some hardware along with Ms. Martin, our Student Services Director. If you would come on down, we would first like to honor our Elementary School Counselor of the Year, Ms. Amanda Herbert of Bell Elementary. Ms. Herbert, if you'll please come down. Ms. Bouchard, our Assistant Student Services Director, is here as well. Mr. Fusco, your principal, if you'll come down, and Mr. Chair, if you'll come forward as well for Ms. Herbert and Bell Elementary's being named the Elementary School Counselor of the Year. Mr. Cheatham as well. Y'all share Bell Elementary, I know. This is what some of what Ms. Herbert's peers shared about how she pours her heart into supporting students. Says that she creates engaging lesson plans. She helps create a culture of kindness and respect, not only in school, but she equips her students with those skills to take out into the community at large. She is truly shaping future leaders. Congratulations, Ms. Herbert. Mr. Chair, if you'll stay up front with us, and Ms. Churchill, if you will join us. And if Principal Britt from Cane Creek Middle School would come down, because it is time for us to honor our Middle School Counselor of the Year, Miss Jerry Womack. Ms. Womack, if you'll join us. So I have to tell y'all, Miss Britt tricked Miss Womack Monday. She thought she was going to have to deliver some comments at an 8th grade meeting and made her tap dance for the longest time. Until we surprised her. Ms. Womack's peers who work in high schools often hear from their students about this amazing counselor I had back in middle school when they remember Ms. Womack. She's a shining light to so many, and we do appreciate everything you do for student and staff success. Congratulations, Ms. Jerry Womack. The Buncombe County Schools High School Counselor of the Year, Miss Barbara Babs Burlingame of Enka High School. Miss Burlingame, if you would join us, along with Principal Harris and Miss Lewis. Miss Burlingame's peers shared that despite looking after a huge number of high school students, she works diligently getting to know them all and builds those strong relationships. She also provides a lot of support to teachers in Enka High School as well. And we so appreciate your service. Your High School Counselor of the Year for Buncombe County Schools, Miss Burlingame. And Ms. Lewis and Ms. Harris, we will have you stay with us because the Buncombe County Schools School Social Worker of the Year is also from Enka High School, Miss Molly Pittman. We honor you this evening as well. Miss Pittman's peers shared how she helped create the care closet and deliver supplies to family homes, a leader in the building, always willing to help a colleague. She's also busy coaching and volunteering at the school, our school social worker of the year. Congratulations to you, Miss Pittman. We just wrapped up Arts in Schools Month, and many BCS student musicians have emerged as leaders on the state stage. Several of them are with us tonight. Our district arts specialist, Ms. Laura Mitchell, is here to help make presentations to them. We will begin with Maggie Pulver, who plays the bass at T.C. Robertson. If you could please join us with orchestra director Miss Terry, Principal Allison, and Miss Churchill. We want to tell you that Maggie went through 2 sets of auditions and made the North Carolina All-State Orchestra. Congratulations. Maggie is among the top players in the state. Thank you for representing the Rams and Buncombe County Schools on the state stage. Congratulations to you, Miss Pulver. Miss Churchill, if you'll stay with us. And Miss Terry, if you'll stay with us. Miss Terry is also the orchestra director for Valley Springs Middle School, and we'd like to honor a student there, Belen Pettigrew, who, and also bring down Principal Amy Roney as well. Miss Pettigrew is in the Junior Western Regional Honors Orchestra. It's considered all-state for middle school students, and the highest scoring students are placed into the Honors Orchestra. Over 300 students auditioned for this event, and Miss Pettigrew was among those selected for her playing ability. Congratulations to you. Thank you so much for representing Valley Springs, the Rams, and Buncombe County Schools on the state stage. And tonight we also honor musician Ely Townsend, a cello player from North Buncombe Middle School. Ely, if you would come down with orchestra director Ben Sharp and Miss Franklin. Buncombe County Schools had 2 students accepted into the Middle School Honors Western Regional Orchestra. Ely is the second. It is the highest achievement for a middle school orchestra student, and we are so proud of you representing North Buncombe Middle and Buncombe County Schools on the state stage. Congratulations. And Miss Franklin, if you'll stay with us for our next musician as well, because we've got to honor some high school musicians who are here with us tonight. There are nearly 900 middle and high school musicians across the state who auditioned for the 2025 North Carolina All-State Band. So 900 audition, fewer than 300 are accepted to qualify for the All-State audition. Students have to place in a top chair in their all-district band, for which they also audition. It's a lengthy process, the best of the best, and tonight we recognize the BCS students who will be performing next month as part of All-State. From North Buncombe High School, Brian Harrell, a bassoon player, is here with his band director, Nathan Brown, and Principal Kevin Yance. We'd like to bring you down and honor you. Congratulations, sir. As you heard Dr. Jackson say, the spring musical season's underway. Brian's actually playing tonight. He came here first, not a bead of sweat on his forehead, cool as a cucumber. Congratulations to you, sir. We've got 3 students from Robertson High School who also made All-State. I believe we've got one of them here tonight. If you'll come forward, Miss Churchill and Andrew DeMatos, if you will come forward as well with Principal Allison. The Robertson Band is under the direction of Jenny Lanier, and alto sax player Andrew DeMatos is in the All-State Band. He will be performing also next month on that All-State stage in Greensboro. Congratulations to you, Andrew. We have two All-State Band. This All-State Band must be made all up of Buncombe County School students, Ms. Mitchell. I love this. Two All-State Band students from Owen High School under the direction of Adam Callisted. Congratulations to French horn player Moss Perdue and clarinet player Cooper Burkhalter. If you will come forward, please, and join Mr. Cheatham. And we have Assistant Principal Ms. Kim Mason here representing Owen High School tonight. Congratulations. We look forward to seeing you on the state stage and playing with some of the top musicians in the state. Congratulations to the Owen High School Band, again, under the direction of Mr. Callisted. Congratulations. Want to mention there was a group of students from A.C. Reynolds High School. They are at play practice tonight in an orchestra pit, who will also be on stage at the State Honors Band. Finally, 300 students from across North Carolina auditioned for only 20 spots in the All-State Jazz Band. And 2 of those spots this year belong to BCS middle school students, specifically Enka middle school students, Miles Robbins and Ryan Shumsker. If you'll please join us with your director, Mr. Kimbrough, Principal Amberly Dalton, and Miss Lewis. Thank you so much for representing the Jets and the Buncombe County school system on the state stage. That's awesome. All right, congratulations. Our friends Brianna and Michaela are going to take some group pictures of our honorees tonight. So if you all will follow them, they're going to get some group pictures of you all this evening to celebrate your honor. Remember, you can follow all the good news things that are happening. Follow us at Buncombe Schools on social media. Also, buncombeschools.org's got all the good news. You will also find the list of all of those musicals that Dr. Jackson spoke about in his superintendent comments as spring musical season and theater season's underway in Buncombe County Schools. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ulmer, for all that great news, and congratulations to all of our fantastic students and our dedicated staff for all those accolades. At this time, we're going to move into our strategic plan highlights, presented by Dr. Jennifer Reed. Be speaking to us this evening about our Title I programming in Buncombe County Schools. The floor is yours.
Good evening, Chairman Elliott, Dr. Jackson, members of the board. Our strategic plan highlight tonight will be all about our Title I programming in Buncombe County Schools. We always start these presentations with a few connections specifically to our board strategic plan. And I usually pick out 1 or 2 core beliefs that I'll feature tonight. But what I'm going to tell you is you're going to hear a little bit of a connection to every single one of our core beliefs in the presentation around Title I. And before I go too much in depth, I definitely want to give a huge shout out and thanks to our incredible Federal Programs Director, Jean-Ann Yates, who's with us tonight, and her awesome team, not only for the work they do every day, but for also assisting in this presentation tonight. And so when we look at our strategic plan goals, we have 4 very specific intentional goals, and Title I supports each goal in a specific way. Goal 1 is all about academics, and so specifically Title I supports early literacy. Goal 2 is on family engagement and being welcoming to students, staff, and families, and there is a very intentional component of family engagement in our Title I program. Goal 3 is all about preparing students for the future, and what better way to do that than to focus on literacy. And then Goal 4 is how do we best support our staff so that they can provide high quality instruction to our students. Before we go even more in depth to that program, I'm going to back up just a few years to 1965. And the first law, the primary federal law, we call ESEA, or the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, was born. And in that law, there were some specific components about ensuring that we provide services to students whose needs were not necessarily being met with any other funding source. And since 1965, there have been a few different iterations of that law, specifically in reference to Title I. One of those occurred in 1994, where the service in Title I was kind of shifted from those students who were having struggles with reading to specifically students from low-income families. So that was a major turning point there with that law. And then in 2001, I'm sure you've all heard about the No Child Left Behind Act, which is no longer in existence. But the shift that occurred with No Child Left Behind actually took a deeper dive into standardized testing as a measure of success when it comes to Title I, but also any federal funding. And then the last iteration and the most recent of that law was in 2015. We call this ESSA. It is the law that we're currently in compliance with for all that we do with federal programming. And what that did is it shifted the role to states and schools about how they set requirements for standardized testing. And so as a state, how do we tell our federal government that we're complying with our standardized testing goals? And we'll go into that in just a little bit more detail. A lot of what we do in Title I and a lot of what Ms. Yates and her department does is working on monitoring the program and compliance with ESSA. And so specifically, the role of Title I is to close the achievement gap between children who are meeting state standards and those who are not meeting those standards. And so in this annual plan that we as a school system present to our state for approval, we have to come up with very specific goals and strategies for improved academic outcomes. We have to talk about how we're going to ensure that our staff are high quality. What poverty criteria do we use to determine Title I service in our school system? What specifically do we do to support parent and family engagement? And then in ESSA, one of the newer components is what do we do to support early childhood education? So when we talk about the flow of funding, our federal funding, all the way into our schools for Title I, it starts at the federal level, of course. Our state applies for those fundings, so the funding then flows to each state. And then the state flows funds to each public school unit or each school district within the state. Those funds flow based on our census data. And so it's extremely important that that census data accurately reflects our population so that we maximize the funds that we receive from our state. 2020 was that last census, and 2030 will be that next point for our census. And that's conversations that we're having here at the system level to ensure that we do all we can to ensure that that census data is accurate. And then so once the school system receives those funds, 2 years ago, I would have told you we use free and reduced lunch numbers to then determine which of our schools are eligible to receive those funds. But because we are a community eligibility provision school district, what you might hear most often as CEP, we actually use direct service numbers to determine which of our schools qualify for this funding. For direct services, we're looking at Medicaid, we're looking at temporary assistance for needy families, and we're also looking at SNAP benefits. A little context there, we are in year 2 of 4 on our CEP alignment, and that's how we're using that data to determine how much funding our schools receive and which schools receive that funding. So now let's zone in a little bit closer into Buncombe County schools. In our school system, federal funds make up 6.5% of our budget in terms of funds 1, 2, and 3. That's state, local, and federal. So 6.5%. Doesn't sound like a whole lot, but it actually is, and we certainly do a lot of great things with this funding. Title I specifically counts for just over 40% of that federal funding, which is a little over $7 million. As many of you know, that actually came in lower this year, $1.2 million lower than the year before. which was a bit of surprise to us, kind of right before the school year started, to figure out exactly how to navigate that lower level of funding. And then a brag here at the end is, with most of our funds in our school system, we're personnel heavy because we know the impact of our work is found in the interactions daily with our qualified staff and our students. So in Buncombe County Schools, 90% of the money is spent on personnel needs, and those personnel work face-to-face with our students each day. So determining school-based funding, first of all, we're looking at a 40% threshold. We used to say if 40% of the students at school X qualify for free and reduced lunch, then they would qualify for funding from Title I. Now we're looking at direct service numbers, and without going too much in the weeds, instead of direct services at 40%, the state allows us to use a formula or a multiplier that gets us as close as we can to what that 40% free reduced lunch number would look like. But we're using direct services instead of free and reduced lunch count. So in our system, we determine a per pupil amount of funding, and that's what we look at to distribute to schools based on their number of students, their ADM in that school. And so there's a scenario, an example here, that if the per pupil amount for Title I funding is $1,000 per student, and a school has a membership of 100 students, then that school would receive $100,000 in Title I funding to operate their Title I program within that school. So now we're going to get a little bit more into the fun, exciting part of what do we do with those funds once we have them. Title I is all about closing the achievement gap, taking a look at improved student outcomes, specifically in early literacy. We know that literacy has the power to close gaps, to help our students achieve, to help them graduate. It really is a key to success for all of our students. So our Title I programming in Buncombe County Schools has been focused on literacy since its inception. So I'll tell you a little bit about what that looks like. There's the family engagement component, professional learning, and then there are some very intentional connections to school improvement plans as well. I love this statement because it's directly aligned to the science of reading. We have unlocked how students learn to read, and our Title I programming has ample, highly qualified staff who do that important work every day. We're committed to evidence-aligned reading instruction, being scaled with a sense of urgency in a very comprehensive, systematic way by multiple stakeholders. And so we're in this together, and we take collective responsibility within that program to meet the literacy needs of every student. So by the numbers, our programming exists right now. It's a K through 6 programming because it is early literacy. This year, we've had 27 of our schools receive Title I funding. 22 of those are primary and elementary, all 4 of our intermediate schools. And this year, our virtual academy also qualified because they have K through 6 students, and they met that threshold of direct services. So as of just a few days ago, Buncombe County Schools Title I staff have served 3,126 K through 6 students in our school system, and that is directly through reading specialists, assistants, and also tutors. And speaking of that, our small group reading, and you can see a great picture here of our adults working very closely with students to close some of those reading gaps. We have 36 reading specialists, which indicates that some of our schools have more than one reading specialist, but at the very least, they each have to use their funding to have at least one full-time reading specialist. That's part of our plan to the state that they approve so that we can receive these federal funds. In addition to that, we hire 63 instructional assistants across those 27 schools and 19 tutors. Additional personnel that can be sought with this funding is our instructional coaches. So all of our instructional coaches in elementary and intermediate school are funded with Title I funds. In addition to that, several of our schools hire parent liaisons with their Title I funding, many of whom speak multiple languages because they help us with that family and community engagement. Of course, there's also funding outside of personnel that's going to support the literacy materials that are used in this block, and also materials for family engagement activities. Let's talk a little bit about professional learning. We also have funds that we call district set-asides that are pulled off the top of our district Title I funding to ensure that, number one, we have the administrative aspect covered for the programming, but that we also support professional learning at the district level. So we have two incredible reading specialists at the district level, Cindy Hutchins and Tara Conley, who support all 27 of those Title I schools. They're really incredible. They were former reading specialists, and they deliver professional learning all the time, not just to Title I staff, but to teachers and assistants across our school system. And for family engagement, there are a lot of opportunities for family engagement through Title I. We are held accountable for that. We are monitored for how we do family engagement. One way is to join a parent advisory council. We have those, of course, at the school level, but we also have a Title I parent advisory council, and we have representatives from across the school system who come together, and they meet multiple times each year. They talk about, they make important decisions. They talk about how the budget works and how the funds are spent, and they also receive input on Title I policy and the Title I procedures in our school system. Also, each year, Title I schools are required to send family surveys. That typically happens at the end of each year for families to ensure that we're delivering engagement activities the way it needs to be received by our families. We are required each year to have an annual school compact that's actually not only signed by the family, but shared in person with those families. So a lot of the schools that receive funding do that at the beginning of the year as part of their open house events. Here are a couple of fun little pictures of family engagement, one at Oakley Elementary and the other at Weaverville Elementary. And even though we do have a literacy-focused program, those parent engagement events often step outside of just literacy, and there's math, and there's STEM parent engagement activities. And our schools are extremely creative when it comes to these events. One thing you'll notice in both of these pictures is that they take place in classrooms. And so I've really witnessed the shift of these just open house events to finding creative and innovative approaches to inviting parents and the community into classrooms to really see what's happening during the school day, engage with students while they're learning. The alignment with school improvement plans is very intentional. So whatever a Title I school spends funds on, they have to indicate that within their school improvement plan. All of the spending must align with the goals, the indicators, and the action steps within that school improvement plan. Also, the Title I reading specialist is a really key role in every one of those schools. They are not only the leader of literacy in that building, they are experts. They're also actively engaged in the school improvement team. They do a lot of management of the school improvement plan, and often they manage the largest budget that an elementary school has. And so they have a really, really key important role in that building. They are always part of the leadership team in that building. And I mentioned earlier, there's always some monitoring and accountability anytime you receive federal funding. It's very, very specific with Title I in particular. We are monitored every 4 years. We actually had a monitoring visit in 23-24, which was Ms. Yates' very first year on the job, and she did incredible with that visit. We had a lot of kudos and highlights and spotlights for the work that's been done here for many, many years. But what we appreciate is the feedback that says, here's where we can do a little better. Here's where we can tweak. Here's how we can do a better job involving families. And so we definitely got that feedback, and we're implementing some of those measures now. We do an annual needs assessment to make sure that our plan that we deliver to the state actually matches the needs within our school system. The surveys I talked about earlier, we submit that plan annually for review by the state. And then we also are constantly collecting evidence of what we do, because when that monitoring visit comes up, we've got to be able to produce evidence of all the great work that's been done in our system. That is a lot in a nutshell about Title I tonight, and I want to end where I began with how incredibly grateful we are for Title I funding in our school system. we know that it does help us meet the needs of every single one of our students.
Thank you, Dr. Reed. I really appreciate that. And thank you to all our Ms. Yates, our federal programs director, and all of our reading specialists out there and curriculum coaches, and do such an amazing job to support our students. And it's a very important program.
Mr. Chair,
yes,
if I could say something.
Yeah, I was going to open the floor for
Yeah.
board questions if you have one.
So I want to say thank you to the reading specialist and Title I assistants. And I'm going to go back and, I'm very blunt and to the point. What worries me is what we watch on the news the last month or so about disbanding the Department of Education. There's the fear of losing federal funding. And this is perfect timing for us to have this presentation because I know as a parent, as someone who has been involved in schools and now on the school board, how valuable those folks are in our schools. So I did some math and, I was a banker, but I had machines tell me what the answer is. But if we have 128 total, they're really responsible for about 25 kids. That's not a lot of kids. When you see that we're, that is a lot of kids, is what I was trying to say. When you look at how many kids that those teacher assistants are responsible for. And while I'm in those elementary schools and watch those folks come in and take those sweet little babies out to a place where they can work on their reading, those people are extremely important in our schools. And I'm fearful of, this federal budget cuts that we keep hearing about, because it's something like this that could be taken from us, and not to put fear in people, but it's real. It's real. It's on the news every night. But this program, if we don't have funding for this, when you think about how our kids can read today, it will be detrimental to public education. And so I am very grateful for the Title I folks. I love them. They are extra, extra special, and they're awesome with our children. So I just
Thank
wanted
you.
to say that.
They are.
Thank you, Ms. Clemens. Any other board members have questions for Dr. Reed or comments? Mr. Martin.
I would like to say one thing, and especially with Dr. Reed, what she expressed, one thing inside there. Parent involvement. I need for you all to spread the word in the community that parents need to get involved with their kids if they're in the Title I program. Going on this 45 school tour, when I see parents inside the classroom with that child, it does a whole lot for your children. When parents are showing that they are very invested in their kids. And we have to get to that point in our lives. Even if you don't have kids in the school system, it is very important that we show our kids that we appreciate them, that we love them, and we want them to be better. Because we need to understand one thing, that they are the next generation that's going to run everything. And it's our job to prepare the next generation to take over and to do the things that they need to do. Going in schools and seeing what Title I does and how patient these people are with our kids, how they're showing them how to read, how they're spending one-on-one connection with them, it is speaking volumes inside of our kids' lives. So tell your neighbors, tell your church folk, tell everybody on your job, tell parents to get involved with their kids, because that is the greatest investment in a child's life. It's not just a teacher, it is you as a parent. You are the parent, manage your kid's future, because that is important for that child. And it will speak volumes later on in life. And guess what? They will pay out Social Security. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Any other board member questions or comments? I just had one
Yes.
question, Dr. Reed. It's, I guess, just about how this works to some degree. You mentioned census data that you have to check and make sure is accurate. When you say census data, do you mean the every 10-year
Yes, that is
census?
correct.
Okay. And so that sets the, I guess, the baseline for the funding that we receive.
That is correct.
Per school.
Per district.
Per district.
So that's how it flows from the state level to
Okay.
the public school unit.
Okay. What is the timing, like, what is the cycle, like, the calendar of all this look like? When do you start to see those numbers and have to check and make sure that that data is accurate for the funding that we're going to receive?
Well, the checking of the numbers and the funding determination happens at the state level.
Oh,
Once we get it, we go by our criteria of the 40% threshold, and that's when we, as a school system, look at direct service numbers. So there's two sets of data that will determine the level of funding that we receive.
and when does that, during the calendar year, when does that happen?
So we typically look at our numbers in March and April of each year. Would you agree with that, Ms. Yates? Ms. Thorpe? Okay. We look at the numbers then, and we're able to kind of look at what the impact of each month's ADM or each month's numbers look like for our school system. And we have to pick 1 month to use for that. And there are a lot of reasons for that, but one is that we actually have to offer our funds to private schools. We actually had that meeting today with private schools in our area to say, this is what this looks like, and once we get our numbers, we can tell you what your allocation would be. And so we'll have a planning allotment soon. So once we know which schools qualify for services within our school system based on the numbers that we have in either March or April, and that's our direct service numbers I'm talking about, then our schools will be able to plan what their budget will look like for the next school year. And they can typically begin spending their funds July 1st.
Okay. So right now, we're assessing those numbers and projecting funding levels for next year. And then I understand the funding itself is rather complicated. Like, we may not actually see those funds
Correct.
roll into our school system for
It could be later in the fall.
use. I heard November sometimes
Yeah.
or something, as late as then.
That's right.
Speaks to the importance of our fund balance.
It sure does. Cash flow is important.
Okay, so right now, you are planning for full funding of Title I and all the needs that we have based off of census data and all the rest that you just described.
We are, in a similar manner to the budget season you all are in the middle of now. We're also in a similar place where we're trying to plan for something and we don't know exactly how much funding that we're going to receive. And with so much of our funding being directed towards personnel costs, we just every year at this point, we kind of are very hopeful that we'll receive the same level of funding or more.
Can you clarify too the private school piece? So we shared, does their direct service numbers, did they somehow match with ours, or is it we just cut off a piece of what we received?
At that point, it's based on their average daily membership compared to our average daily membership. And so there's a proportionate share that they would receive based on their ADM.
And that's true private schools, not public charters.
Correct, it is private schools.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
You're
Any
very welcome.
Other board member questions or comments?
Jennifer, one
Yes.
last question. So do we still have all of our elementary schools receive funding except for SDs?
Except for Glen Arden.
I mean Glen Arden, okay,
That is correct.
okay.
They
All
don't
right.
meet that
And-
40% threshold.
And it's based on ADM, not really need, it's based on,
So it's based on direct services.
Okay.
And a couple years ago, it was free and reduced lunch numbers, but now it's
Right.
based on direct service because we're the CEP district.
okay, all right, good, thank you.
You're welcome. It's complicated.
Yeah. Thank you, Ms. Clemens. Thank you, Dr. Reed. Thank you, Ms. Yates, for your steady leadership of this program in our school system. And I believe now it is time for public comment. Our attorney, Dean Shell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, everyone. It's now time for public comment. As a reminder, speakers will be called in the order in which they signed up. All speakers will have precisely 3 minutes to speak. There is I think it's over there on the other side of the dais, it's Mr. Cheatham. When you have 30 seconds left, there will be a yellow light and then the red light when your 3 minutes are up. We ask that you refrain from using profane language, vulgarity, making threats, or talking about confidential student or staff information. Please address the board as a whole, and note while the board is taking notes and listening, board members generally do not respond directly to public comment. Turn it over to Tim.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, we have 10 public comments tonight. First is Mary Ann Tierney.
And it's Cane Creek Middle School, and my husband teaches high school in the district. I'm a registered nurse with a long history working in mental health. I'm also the director of Safe Tech NC. Thank you for your service on the board and to our children. I'm grateful for the swift and efficient way in which Cane Creek Middle School leaders handled potential emergency situations this school year, even when the issue was just in the neighborhood, using lots of caution and notifying parents immediately when the issue was happening and when it was resolved. While some argue that this is why children need phones in schools, national school safety experts now know that children are actually safest during school emergencies when they don't have phones, when their full attention is focused on the adults right in front of them, with their locations not revealed by the pinging and the lights of their devices. Phone-free schools have also been proven to be safer due to fewer physical fights, less cyberbullying, and less sexual exploitation. Rigorous studies of schools with bell-to-bell policies have been show very significant improvements in academic outcomes. Both improvements in mental health outcomes and cost savings have been found in bell-to-bell policies, not policies that are part-time for class only. We don't have part-time policies for smoke-free schools, nor for seatbelts on the highway. A part-time cell phone policy has proven repeatedly to revert back to no real policy, putting the disciplinary burden on already overtaxed teachers while also creating an addiction trigger at each break and lunch when children need instead to interact with each other to reduce their isolation, as we clearly learned from COVID. The adverse effects on mood by wireless radiation from cell phones are well documented in 7 decades of science. The data is now overwhelming that smartphones are contributing to addiction, anxiety, depression, and suicidal tendencies. This epidemic of mental illness is stunningly summarized in The Anxious Generation. Please come to our book study of this bestseller on May 15th at 6 o'clock at the East Asheville Library. There are details in the flyers for everyone left outside the door. Or you
Thank you. Thank you.
Next speaker is Sharon Broussard.
I'm in the Reynolds District, and I'm a proud member of Public Schools Strong. We encourage everybody to be involved. We advocate for these people in Buncombe County Schools. Republican, and thank you, Board, for the wonderful job you do. Republican leadership in North Carolina is failing our kids with MAGA stripping away the Department of Education and transferring control of education funding to the Republican-dominated North Carolina state legislature. I fear we are doomed to destruction of what was once a superior public education system. I would like to read to you today a poem written by Dr. Misty Williams entitled "The Promise." The promise made by the North Carolina Constitution to provide sound basic education to every child. The promise by Dr. Misty Williams. The promise for our children, their birthright of potential recognized, the hope of education justified at their birth. The promise, read more, know more, learn more. They will be more, give more to the universe that owes all its children on this earth at their birth. Boundless appreciation of the promise, sometimes neglected, lately abandoned, but always in the backs of their minds. They look to us. They know what they were born for, the promise of more. The promise, the glitter of bold aspiration in the youngest eyes, flickering in the purest hearts. We pledged to expand those curiosities to passion, beyond the glimmer to be more, to give more. The promise, unwavering assurance for all, a chance, a choice, a light. It is their birthright. It is our duty. At their birth, we promised. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nikita Lindsay.
Good evening, Chair and members of the board. My name is Nikita Lindsay, and I'm the parent of a Reynolds Middle School sixth grader. I'm here before you all to voice some concerns and advocate for my child as a concerned parent. There have been a lot of issues at the Reynolds Middle School with the sixth grade boys. They have been bullying the girls. They've been attacking them, pulling their hair, jumping them, and causing physical harm to them. I don't know why, but I do know is this. Y'all policy states that y'all don't allow bullying, and safety is y'all's #1 priority. So please tell me why those rules are not followed. Because you continue to have the same bully boys who continue to do the same thing without stiffer punishment. Y'all allow these kids to not be safe in the school. These girls, they don't have enough resources at the school. We need more resource officers at that school. And I do know that y'all do have funding. And y'all need to move some of that money where it needs to go, because safety is #1, and our kids come first, and education is #1, and nothing should disrupt that. Thank you.
Craig White.
Good evening. I'm Craig White with the Campaign for Southern Equality. First, I want to thank you for standing strong in the face of all the attacks in Washington against public education. Thank you. We are Tar Heels. We do not back down from a fight. Dr. Jackson, you invited me to pass along what I'm hearing from students and staff and faculty. This one I felt like it was important for the board to hear as well. The threats and bullying coming out of Washington are trickling down through all of our society, including into Buncombe County schools. The reports of bullying and harassment and actual physical violence that I'm hearing are deeply concerning. Queer and trans students are being targeted, immigrant students, students of color, students in wheelchairs, students wearing hijab, and our girl students. Anyone being targeted by Washington is also being targeted in our hallways and classrooms. I know that we have good anti-bullying policies. We're required to under the North Carolina School Violence Prevention Act, sorry. But when students are going to administrators for help, they're being turned away. Race, gender, sexual orientation, immigration, that's political. I can't get involved. When they go to teachers for help, the teachers have not been provided with the guidance and the support to help their students. They're forced to default to silence and inaction, but there's no neutral position in the face of bullying. Inaction is one form of action, and their silence sends a very loud message. We need you as a board to stand up for your students and your staff. Propaganda is not policy. The laws of Title IX, the Civil Rights Act, the ADA are very much still in place. Harassment, bullying, and discrimination are very much still against the law. And it is also against both the law and district policy to fail to help a student who's experiencing bullying. So I'm not asking you to send the principals a memo. I'm asking you to go into the schools, talk with your students, talk with your parents, talk with your staff and faculty. Tell them that BCS will not tolerate any form, any level of bullying and harassment. And most importantly, please back up those words with actions. I'm asking you, as a Tar Heel, don't back down. Thank you.
Thank you.
The Reverend Sarah Wilcox.
Good evening. I'm Reverend Sarah Wilcox from the 2nd District and parent to a Reynolds High School student. I can only imagine what your afternoon has already been like after considering budgetary realities. I pray for your peace in these days of tumult. I'm currently reading Monica Guzman's book, I Never Thought About It That Way, and I'm appreciating her intention to help people like you and me cross the divides during these difficult days. As a certified coach, I love good questions because they provide a space for growth and learning that is vital to our moving beyond the silos we create and reinforce. Guzman suggests the most important question we can ask is, what am I missing? So I'm trying to lean into that question while at the same time recognizing I'm constantly working to have that question drive my daily thoughts and interactions. What do we do when people argue against things based on premises that miss so very much of reality, though? How do we help people learn to lean into the curiosity of what they might be missing? Federal dollars that go missing in our schools will have a deep impact, including the vital work of social workers and school counselors. Elimination of school food programs with local food will leave kids hungry and less healthy. And threats to Title I jeopardize the basic building blocks for successful education. While there is much we have here, there is so much we don't experience in the mountains. That is why empathy isn't only a necessity for shared living and learning, but an entryway into how we genuinely love God and love our neighbor. I'm not sure how we cross the divides in this moment, but I am sure that our school systems have held so much for so long, and we need more, not less, to accomplish what is asked of you. I wonder if people can come together and ask, what are we missing and what we might find? Because from this view, it looks like we are missing the curiosity that brings questions and frames moments of not knowing and understanding with expansiveness instead of reinforcement of fears and harms. We are missing emotional intelligence that prioritizes empathy as a means to cultivate good citizens and create good communities. We're missing the power of diverse experiences and cultures that don't center ourselves. We're missing systems that create equitable outcomes because equality will never be just if it starts from unequal places. We seem to be missing a commitment to acknowledge the impact of 246 years of slavery on a people and this nation by opting out of history that doesn't make us feel or look good. We are missing the beloved child of God who is a trans kid claiming their authentic life. Thank you for being a school board that takes seriously the work of how we care for all students. I can only imagine what happens when the world equips you to do less, while your roles and all they cover are so deeply important. Maybe we can all ask, what am I missing, more often? And maybe in the future we will have the capacity to cross the divides. I pray that will be so. Thank you for your work.
Thank you.
Emmy Starnes.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. I began my journey of a Buncombe County parent in 2020 with my first kindergartner. Since then, I've watched 2 more of my children enter Estes, and I'm preparing for my 4th to walk through those doors. I'm committed to my children's education, and I assume everyone in this room is. It is from a place of From a place that I share my deep concern about the overcrowding at our school due to a massive growth in South Asheville. In recent years, multiple new apartment complexes have been built in our area, and we continue to expand enrollment to students from outside of our district. Meanwhile, class sizes are growing, and critical programs like Leader in Me and STEM have been cut at our school due to limited resources. Students are able to only utilize the PE facility, library, art room, and music room once every 7 to 10 days. Our STEM room sits idle as there are not educators to help facilitate this learning. Other schools in our district have fraction of the size classrooms and overall number of students. Because of this, they are able to rotate through PE, art, music, and even STEM every 3 to 5 days. Our students are lacking opportunities to learn these new skills and opportunities for loving learning due to the large number of classes, not just the overcrowding in the classroom itself. William Estes has stretched far beyond its intended capacity. It's impacting the quality of education and support of our children receive. This is also going to get worse in the next year as more apartment buildings are being currently built, and we urgently need to explore rezoning and even planning for a new elementary school to relieve the pressure on Estes and ensure that the students and teachers are set up for success, not just now, but for in the years to come. Thank you.
Thank you.
Taylor.
Good evening, Dr. Jackson, Mr. Chairman, and members of the board. My name is Taylor, and I'm a social studies teacher at Owen High School and a proud BCAE member. I'm here tonight to share my concerns regarding what could be a devastating budget situation for next school year if we don't unite and take action together. As you all know, the County Commission took a combined $4.7 million from BCS and Nashville City Schools just a few months ago to offset tax revenue shortfalls after Hurricane Helene. This clawback and the looming pressure of more budget cuts are scary things to face as a community, but it doesn't have to be. If each of you join us, the 52% of BCS employees who have signed our petition to demand that the County Commission refund the school systems and provide us with a no-cuts budget for the 25-26 school year. In the 9 years that I have been employed with this school system, I have personally felt the impact of budget cuts and cuts made due to attrition year after year after year. These have impacted my own department, my students' learning experience, and my friends and colleagues at other schools greatly. In our smaller high schools, like Owen High, these cuts don't just mean larger class sizes and overcrowding. They often mean complete loss of full programs. Take, for example, our dance program, the drone technology classes, or even game and art design. These are not just electives, they are pathways to future careers, sources of inspiration, and for many students, the reason they stay engaged in school. When we lose these programs, we lose amazing coworkers and learning opportunities for our students. Last summer, Dr. Jackson assured us that our school system was right-sized. If that was true then, it remains true now. We ask that you stand with us in requesting a budget from the county commissioners that ensures that we have pre-hurricane funding levels so that no staff, positions, compensation, programming, or services are taken from our students next year. Our students deserve stability, our educators deserve support, and most of all, our community deserves a school system that prioritizes the people and programs that make public education meaningful. Thank you so much for all you do.
Thank you.
Andrea Bassett.
My name is Andrea Bassett, and I teach second grade at Glenarden Elementary School, and I'm also a proud BCA member. I'm here today because my students need your help more than ever before. I'm asking that you ask the county commissioners for a budget that maintains pre-hurricane staff levels, student-facing services like school nurses and school-based therapists and counselors, with no reductions due to attrition. I've been teaching for 18 years, and I can tell you firsthand that there are more students with more needs than ever before. This increase, in response to this increase in academic, social, and emotional student needs, we teachers have stepped up to meet those needs as best we can, despite a continued decrease in support staff. There's only so much we can do. We're going to keep working as hard as we can, but we need more. I'm only one person, and every single one of my 16 second graders in my classroom right now deserves more than I can give them just by myself. I'm lucky to work in a school where everybody pitches in. Just the other day, my class was transitioning from recess to math, and most of my class followed the group plan and settled in. But I had a couple students that had some things happen to them, small things that happened in that transition, and they had big emotional responses to those. As I was trying to get the rest of my class, because everybody deserves my attention, started, those students escalated into really big feelings and really big emotions. And I'm torn in that moment. Where do I go? I was lucky that I was able to call for help. I was lucky that I was able to access my administrator who came for help. I was very lucky that we have a part-time counselor in addition to our full-time counselor who was able to come help one of those students who would have had further emotional responses throughout the day if someone wasn't able to take the time to process that with her. So if this had been a few weeks ago, our principal might have been running the cash register at our school because we were short-staffed in the cafeteria. If I had a full-time assistant, these could have been prevented because she would have been able to help either facilitate the learning or help with my students' emotional needs to keep everybody going. This isn't a one-time story. This happens every day in every school. And it's only getting worse. Our students need more because the world is changing. Please help us by submitting a...
Thank you.
Shanna Pill.
All right. Good evening. My name is Shanna Peel. I'm a special ed teacher in Buncombe County Schools, the proud mama of 3 amazing little humans, and proud to serve as the president of the Buncombe County Association of Educators. Tonight, you've heard from our very own BCS teammates, parents, community members, that post-Helene, what our students need is more resources, not less. And you know, I can understand feeling like the odds are stacked against us, but our kids' futures are too bright and too important for us to back down. This is one of those moments that can define our kids' futures for better or for worse. Our students and our staff are ready to do everything we can. And we need you to be all in and do everything you can to make sure our kids don't show up with less in August than they had before the hurricane. The most important thing that you can do as a school board member is to be honest about what our students need no matter what. That means requesting a no-cuts budget that keeps our students whole by maintaining all pre-hurricane staff positions, compensation, programming, and services. Now I know, as well as you know, that we as a union have presented budget petitions to you before, but we are coming to you today with a unity and resolve we've never had before. That's because a majority of Buncombe County Schools staff stand united on this petition asking for a no-cuts budget, because we know that you are stronger and we are stronger together. Imagine the power it would hold if we stood together as a staff, district leadership, school board, if we stood together with our parents, community, our students, if everyone from both school districts as one united front said together in one voice, school children cannot pay the price of this hurricane. We have an opportunity to come together in a way that we've never done before, in a time that calls on each of us to do nothing less than every single thing we possibly can do for our kids. And that's why we want to invite you to sign on to our petition tonight. We are meeting as a union in the coming days to develop a strong strategy to bring our staff and community together to get our schools the funding that they need, and we hope to be able to share the good news at those meetings that we are all on the same page and begin to plan our next steps to win countywide. Priscilla is going to give each of you a copy of our petition, a list of our 1,808 staff signatories.
Thank you.
Evelyn Johnson.
To make their comments. I live in North Buncombe. I don't have any kids in school, but I'm here to tell the board that we think that teachers deserve better pay, smaller class sizes. You hear that all the time, I'm sure. I can't imagine the pressure you're under with all these new rules that you have to follow, but the people in North Buncombe do like diversity, equity, and inclusion. We are inclusive people. We do not like the opposite, division, exclusion, and inequity. We want to make sure that a lot of white people think that they're being treated unfairly when their racist white privilege is openly discussed. But that's no reason to deny history. I don't make excuses for a racist past, and I actively work to be an anti-racist. I do not tolerate racists. Diversity is our strength as America. We're a melting pot. We are an alloy that's stronger with different types. Equity is treating people fairly. When did schools stop teaching that? Inclusion is making space for everyone. All are welcome here. They're taking these signs out of kids' schools because they're afraid of losing their federal funding. We are at the bottom, nearly the bottom, of all the school systems getting money. We are at the bottom. We're like the 48th percentile of all the states. I mean, anyway, I know that's not up to you guys. I appreciate what you can do. You guys have made bricks out of straw, without straw for ages, and we appreciate it. But do not abandon that. Remember, e pluribus unum. That's something you can teach. That's something they can't take away from us. It's on the frickin' money. Anyway, thanks.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, that concludes public comment.
Thank you. Board members, we will now move into our action agenda. We just have 2 items in our action agenda for this evening. One is the Irwin High School gym floor repair project, approval of change order. Clark White's here if anybody has any questions or comments. Hearing none, I will just entertain a motion to approve the Irwin High School gym floor repair project.
So moved.
Is there a second? We've got a motion and a second. Any discussion or questions from the board? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Next on our action agenda item is the Irwin High School request to use capital athletic outlay funds for purchase of track hurdles. This is what we added to the agenda earlier. Any questions or discussion for Mr. Wyatt? Okay, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the request to use capital athletic outlay funds for the purchase of track hurdles at Irwin High School. Is there a second? Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, hearing none, motion carries. Thank you, board. I'll move into our consent agenda. I'll remind the board that if anyone has the need or desire to pull any of the items out of the consent agenda for further discussion, please just let me know. We can do so. Take a minute to discuss further. First on the consent agenda, minutes from February 25th, 2025, special call work session. Minutes from March 6th, 2025, special call work session. Minutes from March 6th, 2025, open session regular meeting. Minutes from March 13th, 2025, special call to work session. Personnel report from April 3rd, 2025. 2024-2025 budget amendment number 5. Advisory Council request to add member. Irwin High School request to use capital athletic outlay funds for scoreboard replacement controllers. Robertson High School request to use capital athletic outlay funds for purchase of a wrestling mat. Robertson High School request to use capital athletic outlay for purchase of pole vault pit cover. Inca High School request to use capital athletic outlay funds for advanced planning design package for new field house. Technology Services, intent to purchase network storage servers and related equipment. Non-competitive procurement request, Musco Sports Lighting. Non-competitive procurement request, Carolina Hardwood and Construction Incorporated. And we have policies for second reading. 3470, 4305, alternative learning programs. Policy 4270, 6145, concussion and head injury. Policy 4320, tobacco products, students. Policy 4370, student discipline, hearing procedures. Policy 5026, 7250, smoking and tobacco products. Policy 8305, grant administration. Policy 9125, participation of minority-owned business. And lastly, policy for ratification, policy 3470, 4305R, alternative learning programs. I will just call out for a few things and once again say that I greatly appreciate our board and the time given to our multiple work sessions that we have had in March and ongoing in April for studying our budget process and making sure our budget request to the county is sound and supportive for our staff and our students, and also all the work of the policy committee who's been working hard on the policies we are about to approve this evening. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, please?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Consent agenda is approved. Next, we'll move to the information agenda. We have finance reports in your board packet. North Buncombe High School HVAC renovations. Notice that performance services is prepared to proceed with phase 1. And the announcements in future meetings, the Board of Education will hold a special called budget work session on April 7th, 2025 at 3:30 p.m. in the Minitorium here at Bingham Road in Asheville. The Board of Education will hold a special called budget work session on April 25th, 2025 at 1 p.m. in the Minitorium here at Bingham Road, Asheville. The next Board of Education regular meeting is May the 1st, 2025 at 5:30 p.m. in the Minitorium. Work session updates and closed session begin at 4 p.m. in the Executive Conference Room at 175 Bingham Road, Asheville. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, meeting is adjourned.